I started experimenting with probiotics many years ago, maybe when I was, I don't know, maybe about 5 to 10 years ago. And when I first took them, I didn't notice anything really. They were different back then when I was taking them. We had Inner Health Plus was the main one, the ones in the fridges. So this year must have been 10 years ago, or even more. But they had to stay cold, and when I took them, all I noticed was that I didn't get as much diarrhea. That yeah, it just was much easier when going to the toilet, much more normal. But I didn't notice anything else. And I don't recall trying any other types, any more natural ones like kefir and everything. So then later on, this is maybe 2 to 3 years ago, I watched a YouTube video somewhere saying that this person used probiotics and it helped their skin a lot. So I got these very expensive ones online. They were long acting ones, so somehow have slow release. Very expensive. They were lower dose, they had 5 billion in them, but they say they work better. And what I noticed is that when I would take more than 5 billion, like 10 or more, there was problems. I would start to feel depressed and really low. Issues with sleeping, just generally brain foggy, can't think, kind of like an inflammation reaction. But it was never that bad, it was just noticeable. And even when I would take the 5 billion ones, the smaller ones, it would still happen, but just much less. And I actually stayed on these, I was taking one a day at least for about, I think, 1 to 2 years, even 2 years, you could say. The things that I found that they did was it actually did clear up the skin a little bit. And I think it made digestion a bit easier. But then I found kefir and I started getting into that. And this stuff's very powerful. It has a ton of probiotics in it, especially the stuff you make at home. And I eventually started making it. But the first stuff I had was the milk kefir. And what I would notice is when I would have this, I was just overcome with the most intense depression I've ever had. It was just this utter inability to connect with reality in any way. Like, I could not connect with people. I would not experience positive emotions. Nothing would have meaning in it. Everything was just useless and hopeless, and there was no point. And I was still going about the motions. I was still exercising. I was still working. I was still working on my businesses, all that stuff. But it was just this emptiness, this nothing. It was really, really crazy. I've never experienced anything like it. The thing was, is if I have kefir, it instantly pretty much makes my skin close to perfect, and I don't react to carbohydrates anymore, and my digestion is a lot better. So these bacteria seem to affect carbohydrates more than anything because the thing that low carb does is it fixes my skin, and so does kefir. So it has this really powerful instant effect on that. But this depression that goes with it is crazy. And I looked into it, and they say that it can be a die-off reaction where the new bacteria are fighting the bad bacteria, and there's just some die-off, and it doesn't last that long. But when I had those lower dose ones, I had problems for the 1 to 2 years that I just got used to. And then I got off them, and I was like, holy shit, I've been living in this fog for so long. It never got better, even after that long. With the kefir, I could only handle it. I think the most I handled it was 2 weeks. And then I was like, I'm going to fucking kill myself if I keep doing this. It was really like severe, severe stuff. It's very scary. So I've stopped, and I feel a lot better not having probiotics. The problem is that, well, actually no, I eventually did some more. I made my own, and I think I left it in too long because this stuff was powerful. A mouthful of this stuff just floored me. I eventually just had, I think, a teaspoon of it, and I was fucked for 2 or 3 days, just completely off it. But again, my skin was perfect. So there's something there. There's something to do with the microbiome that's causing eczema and skin issues, and it's related to carbohydrates. It does nothing for the histamine intolerance reactions that I get, but it pretty much fixes any issues with carbs. But I have to deal with severe depression, and it's not worth it. So I hear everyone talk about the diet reactions, and I did my best to work through it and wait for a better day, but it just never happened. So I don't know what it is. It seems to me like massive inflammation of some kind in the body, and it affects the brain and causes depression. And I think any depression that doesn't have a direct cause is probably some version of that. And most of our inflammation is carbohydrate related, in my opinion. So there's some relationship there between the skin, the carbohydrates, the brain, and inflammation, and these probiotics that cause the issue. But I haven't found another answer except low carb. And I don't love low carb only because I don't feel great when I'm in ketosis. Exercise isn't as good. But I'm just healthier when I'm in terms of physically healthier. And I unfortunately don't sleep as well. But I wanted to share that because I think a lot of people are really giving probiotics a really good go, and there's been a lot of evidence coming out saying they're good. But I don't see a lot of information about this, is that when people take them, they can feel severely, it can really fuck people up. I wish there was another answer. Maybe I have to find the right one. Maybe I have to go through it longer at a higher dose. I don't know, but if you have any experiences or suggestions, feel free to comment. But until then, until the next one, thanks guys. Cheers.